The Atlanta Hawks season kicks off tonight against the Brooklyn Nets in Atlanta. Alex, one reason you are excited for this Hawks year, there hasn't been a ton to be excited about, but what are you most looking forward to this season?
I'm going to, probably steal your thunder. I'll give you some time to think of another one, but it's very easy. It's Jalen Johnson. We know what Trae Young is. Trae Young didn't have the best season last year, but nobody should be worried about Trae Young bouncing back. He's going to give you 27 and 10 for the rest of his career on his way to the Hall of Fame. But the only difference between this team and last team is DeJounte Murray and Zachary Reese, but DeJounte Murray is out of the picture. This is going to allow Trae Young and, most importantly, Jalen Johnson to take another step into stardom. I think, if you're looking at a Hawks team, I mean, their win total is like 37. It's under 500.
It's been like the same thing every year.
It's under 500 for sure. The only reason this Hawks team has any reason to be excited is, you got one superstar. It's Jalen Johnson taking that next step to stardom. That next step that's going to put his name into the, Robin of Batman categories around the league where people start to take notice. So I think if you've got one reason other than Trae Young, he's going to put butts in seats every single night, is Jalen Johnson, because he is good and he's wildly entertaining.
Yeah, I think there's a few for me that I can go. I mean, I think the number one, I think you hit the nail on the head, is Jalen Johnson. That's the most reason to be excited about the future of the Hawks organization. If he can become the second piece of the puzzle, you're closer to a championship than you've ever been, because the Hawks have never had two superstars on their team. Trae Young's the first real superstar they've had since Dominique Wilkins. I'm not going to even include a guy like Joe Johnson, as much as I love ISO Joe or something like that. The first real superstar the Hawks have had, getting a second 100%. One and the possibility of having a second one puts you closer to an NBA championship than this organization has ever been in my lifetime,
including the Eastern
That's
Conference
exciting. But there's a couple other things. You mentioned the DeJounte Murray not being there. I'm excited to see the offense without him. I mean, we saw too much isolation ball, too much you, me. I think that really killed Quinn Snyder. We were all hyped up about Quinn Snyder and what he could do. I think he was
excited.
I think he was put in a position to where it just wasn't a good fit. I don't think there's a way to coach yourself out of two ball dominant point guards that aren't willing to play another role or aren't excited, aren't willing to give 100% in that other role. I think Trae Young just taking back over the offense, exciting. Also, Zachary Reese. I mean, this guy was unbelievable in the preseason. So especially early in the season, I'm going to be thrilled. I'm going to be glued every time he steps onto the floor, because that's another. We're talking about a second piece of the puzzle. He could be the third piece of the puzzle. Don't know. Way too early to tell. Preseason thing was encouraging, but was that just preseason playing against backups, or was that, hey, this guy could actually be much better than we anticipated? Because this is probably the least hyped up number one overall pick of all time.
Yeah.
And he went out there and he looked like a number one overall pick. Yes. Was it the preseason? Was it something more? Because that was a guy that was, shot over 50%, averaging, 16 points in the 2 games he played, like that in 20 minutes. Like, that was good basketball.
Yeah. I mean, your hopes hinge on addition by subtraction in the form of DeJounte Murray and Quinn Snyder's system maybe working a little bit better. Jalen Johnson and Zachary Reese. Because everybody else, we know what DeAndre Hunter is. We know what Bogey is. We know what Clint Capella is. We know what Onyeka Okongwu is. We know what Kobe Buffkin is. He's got room to grow, but let's not kid ourselves. Kobe Buffkin's not going to come in here and, turn into a star by any means. Can he be a good complementary piece? Absolutely. But for the most part, our hopes and dreams for at least this season and maybe going forward, period, reside on the shoulders of Jalen Johnson and Zachary Reese.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
No doubt. The last one I want to give Dyson Daniels.
Okay. That's a big reason to be excited.
I think Dyson Daniels is going to be a fun watch.
Yes.
I could see Dyson Daniels being, for guys that are glued into the Hawks and watch every game, becoming a fan favorite very quickly
100%.
Because he's a pest. He is an absolute Tasmanian
He is
devil.
what everybody thought we were getting in DeJounte Murray in terms of the defensive
He's the guy that's going to guard you 90 feet of the floor, and he's going to take pride in it. And when you're talking about an offense that has had no trouble scoring, and I don't expect that to change, because you still have Trae Young, you still have Jalen Johnson, you still have DeAndre Hunter, all these guys you need a defensive pieces. I think you got a real defensive stopper on the perimeter in Dyson Daniels, and I don't know if he's going to be a 15-point-a-game scorer. If he is, you got an absolute bargain. But I can tell you he's going to stop people on the defensive end, which is something the Hawks have sorely lacked for the last several years.
Yeah, and I wanted to go one step further, just talking Hawks in general about the defense. That, for the first time in a long time, another reason to be excited is we got a big team. We got a big, long team around a Minnie Mouse Trae Young, who's obviously the offensive engine, one of the greatest offensive players in basketball right now, no debating it. But there has not been any inkling of a defensive presence next to him. And some of that is on his shoulders, but he can't do it all. And now we finally do. Zachary Rizache, 6'9", Jalen Johnson, 6'9". Clint Capella is obviously a defensive anchor. DeAndre Hunter is a lot better than a lot of Hawks fans give him credit for. And now you've got Dyson Daniels. So
yeah,
that's another reason to be very, very excited.
Yeah, I've been extremely down on the Hawks. You've been kind of on the opposite side, and you unfortunately
For no
have been
reason.
wrong. Yeah, fortunately you've been wrong. I feel like I'm a little more optimistic about this Hawks team than I've been in the past because
there's no expectations.
Yeah, because expectations are non-existent. They're so low. You said 37 wins. Like I could see this team being, a top 6 team in the Eastern Conference and surprising some people if they get better defensively, which I think they will.